Word Project 2. It's a pretty easy thing. Maybe a few features you'll refresh or learn about in Microsoft Word. And what we're going to do is create something that looks a little like this. Where's my research paper? Here we go. We're going to create a research paper, MLA style, with just some simple content. So not a ton of, just some typing practice in there. But the main thing we're going to be doing is putting in parenthetical references, footnotes, endnotes, and works cited. And using Word this way and using the features of research papers might make it a lot easier for you to do your works cited or make nice looking footnotes. I think Dr. McLeod is the master of footnotes. If you ever read any of his papers, lots and lots of footnotes. I think he has learned to use footnotes along the way because he just has so many of them. But if you're ever doing more research paper in your years at college, and perhaps in your future work, helping someone with revisions of documents, that'll be helpful too. So we'll be looking at the various features, little extra features that a lot of people maybe use once in a while or haven't used at all on there. And if you know of them, you can help them out. So let's get started with Word. We're going to start with a blank project again. Start up Word, which is on my taskbar now. Blank document, click on that. And we're going to, again, like we did before, we're going to, let's see if we get started. If we're going to do the content and pretty it up, or if we're going to, I think we're going to be formatting as we go. So let's see, we get started here. The format that we want everything in at the very start. We'll be setting up before we start typing. Now you can always come back later and modify the style, but it's good to know at the start what your style is. We're going to be using MLA style, and that would be here on the References tab. We can make sure if we ever do anything for references, we'll be seeing it in MLA. Again, we can always come back later and change it, but it's good to know at the start. That's on the References tab. Back on the Home tab, we can, right now we'll turn on our paragraph markings, paragraph formatting, and let's see if we have anything else to change. For MLA style, they would like everything to be in 12-point Times New Roman. So rather than waiting to the end to change it all to 12-point, let's go ahead and change it right now to 12-point before we start typing. So here we'll change our format to 12-point. And we're going to change our font to Times New Roman. And I could start typing and then later forget, and my formatting might change. It's nice to set what normal is to be what we want in our document all the time, Times New Roman. So I can come over here on the normal style now in my document. I can right click, modify, and make sure anytime I choose normal style that it also will be 12-point, change that to 12-point, and the formatting for normal to be Times New Roman. Now if you don't see Times New Roman at the top, you can slide down all the way down into the T's and find Times New Roman down there. So what we're doing here is we're actually modifying what normal is here in the Styles dialog. And there's lots of things I can modify in there, so let's explore this a little bit before we leave it. I can modify normals to be centered or right or justified. That can adjust the spacing, whether or not there's a spacing before and after between paragraphs, whether it's indented. All these things can be adjusted of my what normal means. I can even go down here to a little extra. I can adjust other things if they are, and I see they're grayed out, so maybe I can't adjust those. Now I could say anytime I make a new document, I'm going to use this style, but no, we don't want to change normal for other documents. Let's just change normal, what normal is in this document. So we're going to leave it checked as only in this document. make sure we got everything right. We change it to 12 times New Roman. Yeah, only in this document. And let's click OK. Now that hasn't changed where we're at because we had already decided we're 12 point times New Roman. But if we ever decide, oh, I want to make sure that whatever paragraph is in there, if I change it to normal now, it will make it 12 point times New Roman. You can do that with all of your styles here. You could right click modify what any style means, and essentially you're customizing your styles. That's allowed. But that can also be very confusing. So be careful when you do it, because it's kind of hidden from you until you use it, what you've actually done. Now, before we get going, we would like our line spacing to be 2 points. And let's see what our line spacing is. Right now, I'll go over here to line spacing. And let's see, what are my options right now? My options right now, I'm using 1.08. Well, I want to go with 2 point line spacing. So let's go here and choose 2. Well, now again, do I want that to be my normal style? I think I do. So I could come back over here and change this again, or I can use this top menu item. What I've just made the change to, adding the spacing, I can just say update normal to match what I've just done in this paragraph. So I could do modify, or just say, well, whatever I've done here, make normal match. And now normal matches what I just did. And let's just check it for fun. If I go to modify, I see now that its spacing is 2 points. So the spacing jumped to 2 point, and I didn't have to come over here and modify it here. I just said, oh, make it 2 point, and now right click, match normal to what I just did. So this can be pretty dangerous, changing your normal, what normal is, based on what you are in right now, what you're selected. And notice I don't have anything typed, but because I'm in that paragraph, that counts as what's selected. And for this paragraph, let's see, we would like to remove the space after this paragraph. So how do I remove the space after this paragraph? Right under here, remove space after paragraph. Now, I don't think they want us to add that to normal. Let's just check to see. Oh, yes, they do. They also remove the space. And so, yes, we want to have a 2 point with the remove space. So we're going to do another update normal to match selection. Now, anytime I choose normal, it's going to be 2 points, or yeah, 2 double spaced, and times New Roman 12 with no spaces after the paragraph. And to see that I did that, I can see now that turns into an add space. That tells me that yes, I have removed the space because that option has changed. Now we're ready to enter a header into my document. And that's shown, we don't see what's in the header because there's nothing in it right now. But how would I ever edit the header? The easiest way to edit what's up in the header here is just to double click at the top of the page. We see I have the ruler on. Can you see the ruler up there on the screen? I can't see it very well from here. But you see a gray spot over here in the ruler. That means that's the header. Just double clicking up here in the header pops me in to be able to edit it. Now another way I could do it, and then I can double click to go back to normal. I could also go into insert header and blank header, and that's the same as though I came up here and started typing. It does throw a little placeholder in there for you to type. So double clicking or insert header, and it basically means send me to the header and get me ready to type something in there. And what we're going to put in there now in our header will appear on every page. First thing I want to do is right align this because it's going to be a name and a page number over here. So to right align that, let's go now to the Home tab while I'm inside the header, and let's right align my header right here. And now we're going to type in the author. So this is just a placeholder. And if I start typing, it'll get replaced with it. Yazzie is the author of our paper. And a space, and now I would like the page number to appear in the upper right corner of every page. So to insert a page number, I can go over to the insert or header and footer, since I'm in header and footer here. And the page number, I can come over right over here for page number. And there's a little arrowy thingy right there. I can add my page number to where I am currently at. See, I'm editing the header, so I want to put it at my current position and have it look like a plain number. Now look at the choices you have for page number. You could have it 1 in a bar of what page you're on, page, bar, and then the page number. A bunch of other options for page number. We're just going to pick the plain one. Just show me the page number, and I put the author's name coming before that. Now another way I could have done that, I could have, since I'm editing the header, I could have gone over here to insert and then page number here. This will do me the same kind of thing. So if I'm in the header and footer, page number from here in this part of the menu, or the insert menu and the page number here. And this is something you'll find with a lot of Microsoft programs. They have multiple ways of doing the same thing. Can often get confusing, and you think, oh, wait a minute, how did you do that? And somebody else did it a completely different way. So header and footer focuses on what can be in your header footer. But when I'm editing, it's like I'm in any other part of the document. I can do anything else here in the header. I can insert pictures, anything I put in this little header section. Think of it as just a little piece that's going to appear at the top of every page in my document. And by the way, I could do the same thing in my footer. If I slide down to the bottom, here the footer is editable at the same time that I'm in my header. See how that's a darker color? I can edit the footer and header, and then whenever I want to get back to the normal document, either close header footer or just double click back in the normal document. And let's make sure we're done with the header, and we'll come back later and do the footer. But remember, if I ever want to edit the footer and I'm in a normal document, I can always come down to the bottom and just double click in the margin at the bottom, and I'm automatically able to edit the footer. And remember, footer is not the same as footnote. Alright, so let's now slide back up, double click back in my normal document. Notice those paragraph markers are, and the text is grayed out, showing me it's there, but I don't need to, I'm not editing it. And now we're ready to start typing the text. And our MLA style begins with the author of our paper, Miss Nina Yazzie, the student writing this paper. It's normal style, which means it's double space like I had set, Times New Roman 12 point, and the teacher, Mr. Slobovnik. I'm going to turn off paragraph formatting just because they're a little bit annoying and noisy. English 101 and October 6. Oh yeah, October 6. Not abbreviate. October 6, 2021. So MLA style header. Of course, it's underlying Slobovnik because that's a word it doesn't recognize. If I don't want to see the red squigglies anymore whenever I type Slobovnik, I could right click, add to dictionary, or ignore all, and it'll ignore it in this document. I don't think I'm typing Slobovnik anymore, but just to get rid of the red squigglies, I'm going to say ignore that spelling because that is a proper name. You won't find it in a dictionary. Now we're ready to start entering some text. It's going to become a centered line in this document. Now I could type and then come up here and center, or if I move my cursor towards the middle of my page, you'll see the centering little icon show up. If I come way to the right, it shows right aligned. If I have that center showing up there, if I double click, it'll center this line automatically, and I don't have to Control E or come back and center it. So I'm going to type health concerns of using technology. I hit enter, and I'm on a new line. It assumes the next line is centered. And if I don't want it centered, I can click anywhere where I see the left aligned icon, and that next line will be left aligned. Actually, it happened to put a tab there. Let me undo that. I come over here. Oh, I hadn't noticed that. It actually tabs me in if I double click where I'm left aligned. I guess I'm going to just change it to left aligned. Don't give me another tab, and then start typing. In the textbook, I'll show you the page of the textbook here where I am right now. In the textbook, it goes over several shortcut keys for formatting and doing lots of special things. These, I believe, are covered in the chapter quiz, just to remind you of the things available to you. I don't use a lot of them because I don't type that many papers. I do use some of them, like italic. Occasionally I'll do that. I hardly ever use subscript or superscript to memorize those. Underlined is easy to memorize. Bold, I use that a lot. But don't worry about memorizing this table. Just know that there are a lot of shortcuts, and if you're doing lots of special things, it's nice to know these shortcuts, and you can type your papers more quickly and efficiently. And remember, back when you're using Word, if you ever are doing something up here in the menu a lot, just hovering over that part of the menu, it'll give you a hint at the shortcut. In case you're doing that a lot, you can memorize a shortcut that way. That's how I usually do it. So don't worry about having to memorize all those shortcut keys, but know that they're available. I am still showing my rulers, and if you're not showing your rulers, you can always come over here and check rulers to turn on the rulers. They will come in handy as we start working with indenting paragraphs. So view ruler, I have it turned on right now. And if you see right now, let's just examine what we have in our ruler. We have the margins are showing up in gray, left and right, and we also see the top and bottom margins showing on our left ruler. There's also little carets, and if we hover over that one, and my giant cursor is a little problem here, it's hiding that. That's the first line indent is what that little caret is. This is the paragraph indent, and this is, what is this? This is the trailing indent, and this is the paragraph indent, and this is the margin indent of the paragraph I'm in. If I move this little caret, it affects the margins of the current paragraph I'm in. What we want to do with these carets is we would like every line to have a first line indent of a 1/2 inch. So in the paragraph I'm in, I'm going to drag that first caret, that top caret, first line indent, I'm going to drag that into 1/2 inch. And now this paragraph, and if I continue, it will remember this first line indent for the rest of the paragraphs I've typed. Now, just to show you that I don't have to use the ruler, I can go to the home page, and in paragraph, right here, paragraph settings, I can adjust my indent here in the paragraph settings as well. There's the 1/2 inch first line indent. So I can either adjust that on the ruler or adjust that in the paragraph options right here in the paragraph section. I think this has a lot more details, and you can mess with tabs and everything here, but you can also do it graphically in the ruler. The ruler is not so obvious, but it's handy to see where things are at, and if you're doing a quick change the indent, you can just grab that caret instead of remembering, oh yeah, come back to this menu. All right, now that we have that first line indent, I think we're ready to enter some text. And remember, I can adjust the line indent before or after I have the text. I can always come back and modify a paragraph. The widespread use of technology has led to some important user concerns. Of the more common is physical health concerns are repetitive, get that right, repetitive brain injuries and hearing loss. And I will right click on my red squigglies and let's see if it gives a suggested. Oh, look at it. It gives a I was close enough, it gives me a good suggestion. Now remember, if you don't have red squigglies, you still may have the wrong word spelled correctly. And you may see already that some words, if you type wrong, are automatically corrected for you. Here I'm at the end of the sentence. Spacebar, these conditions are on. And I'm going to purposely misspell the word the, T-E-H. And if I hit spacebar, it actually auto-corrected T-E-H to the, because that T-E-H is a very common way to misspell the. Why did that happen? Well, there's built-in autocorrect. And if I hover back over the word that just got autocorrected, I will see a teeny weeny line show up under there. And I can now open up autocorrect options. And if I meant to type the in the wrong way, I can change it back. Or I can jump to autocorrect options. I can tell it stop autocorrecting that because I would like to misspell the word the. In the control autocorrect options, there is a whole table of automatically corrected words, and you can actually add autocorrections if you're commonly misspelling something. You can add it to this long list of auto-corrected words. And if I go down to the T's here, let's see what other misspellings of the it has in there. Look at lots of T's. T-E-H gets corrected to the. T-G-H-E, little fat finger on the G, gets corrected to the. You can make new entries into autocorrect. If you're finding yourself always misspelling a particular word, ask AKS, see if that's in there. You can autocorrect it to whatever you like, or delete autocorrections that are in here and get annoying. Let's see, is AKS. AKX is not in there. Let's correct that. Let's correct AKS. Let's autocorrect that to ask. I can actually add my own autocorrect. This only gets remembered by me because I'm logged in. It doesn't save it in some global dictionary. Just a little extra there for you. Okay, let's continue then our paper. Conditions are on the rise for users of technology. Period. And I think that is the end of that paragraph. And autocorrect dialog box, we've gone over that. Now we're ready to enter the most of the content of the research paper, and we'll then start working with parenthetical entries. So I'm going to hit enter, and that will start a new paragraph. Notice, since I'm on a new paragraph, I can see that in the formatting characters. Yes, I've hit start a new paragraph. And that first line indent is also my clue. And now we'll type in that content. A repetitive strain injury, also known as an RSI, is an injury of disorder of the muscles, nerves, tendons, ligaments, and joints. Lots of possible injuries. Didn't know technology was so dangerous, huh? Don't hit you until your 40s or 50s if you've done a job with lots of typings. It's either pain or numbness will start hitting you. And before I leave this page, I'm going to start going to my red squigglies. Looks like that has extra space. I'm going to right click, correct it, right click, correct, and double of, right click, delete repeated word, and also read through to see if I haven't spelled the wrong word correctly. And I'll enlarge this for you. Now the reason we're stopping here is I believe we're now going to bring in a citation. And what we're going to do here is insert an we're already in MLA style. I had chosen that on references that I'm in MLA style. And here I think I hit the space bar because we don't want the citation right next to the word fingers. I'm going to hit space bar. And I want to bring in a reference to someone who has given me knowledge about this particular subject I'm talking about. And I've used some of their content in this paper, so I won't be accused of plagiarism. I need to put in a citation. If you're going to do any graduate work, you end up writing a lot more papers, and you just got to get used to citing things. My first few papers when I did graduate, I got some marks, and I realized, oh yeah, you got to cite everything like crazy. So how do I insert a citation? Well, on the References tab, they give us lots of capabilities here. I can bring in a table of contents. That'll be handy if I have a long paper. I can bring in footnotes. I can do searches. We'll skip that part. But here's the citations part. If you don't want to be accused of plagiarism, like some presidents of some famous universities have recently been accused of, just do insert citation here. Use this part very liberally. So insert citation, I'm going to click on that. And when I do that, I have the choice of adding a new source or just making a placeholder that I'll modify the source later. So let's choose add a new source, because we have the book in our hand and we're ready to enter information about the book that told us about CTS and carpal tunnel, and we used it here. So I'm going to click add new source, and here then Microsoft has a let's cite the correct things that are needed to have a proper citation. And the first thing I care about is what kind of source am I getting my information from? Because in my works cited, that affects what information is shown in the works cited. And in this case, we are citing a book. Those rare, more and more rare objects, hard copy information. Perhaps your children will not know of these things. Maybe libraries will be museums more like it. We'll see. But yes, we're citing a book, and we say it could be electronic book. Those are still around. And the type of source is a book. And now notice how what's down here changed based on what type of information. Because Microsoft is giving you suggestions. If you're going to cite something, here's the things important to cite if it is that type of information. So back to book. See how we care about the title, year, and let's go ahead and fill that in. We're putting in here, first of all, the author of the book is Zhao, Z-H-A-O, comma, Shen Li. The last name, comma, first name. And I can tab over to the title, Technology, Aches and Pains. tab down to the year. Uh-oh. Sorry. They had a book and then they changed it to article and a periodical. I hadn't noticed that. It doesn't lose the information, but it gives me more things I would like to have if it's an article and a periodical. So change it from book, article and periodical. This is where now we need the periodical title. A monthly medical and review. Something we notice here, if you mistype something here, there is not spell checking in the editing of a create source. Don't know why they don't have spell checking in there. Perhaps because so often people purposely have a lot of proper names in there. So pay attention to your spelling there. Your works cited may have misspellings, and I don't know if it'll catch it until later on. So the July is a month. The day is, we skipped the day. And N page, many pages, abbreviated. And the medium would be web. So this has me a little bit confused. If it's a periodical and it's a web, why wouldn't I have made it a website? Well, maybe article and a periodical has the information I want, where the website maybe provides the periodical that I can reference. So maybe they found it on a website and they found the electronic version of an article. But in any case, this is your choice of type of source. And one thing here that there's this little checkbox here. If you have more information about what you're reading about, what you're doing research, and it's more than what's expected, like for an article, I can click here, show me all the bibliography fields, and notice the ones that are strongly suggested for an article are highlighted in a red star. But you can also add more information there if you actually have it and you think it might be useful to your reader to have that extra information. You can fill in more information. This means just show me what is strongly expected if it's an article. And even then, I can skip the day part. It's not going to give me an error if I skip and leave one of these blanks. The whole reason why you're doing all this is now that this information is here, it provides a parenthetical reference, but later on when I do bibliography, it'll create the bibliography for me. That's the wonderful thing about the references features of Word. As I do this create sources, I'm preparing all my stuff for bibliography, and I can actually reference sources that I have used in other papers and bring them in as well into my document. So as you're doing research, you can actually be creating a whole list of sources. And you can even go online if you're doing a particular research in a particular area. You can buy documents containing all these references and not spend all that time making all these entries. You can say, oh yeah, I read that book by Mr. Boom. I'm going to use that, and you don't have to go retype your sources. That's really handy if you're doing lots of papers. So Dr. McLeod, that has lots of books in his office. If you haven't been to his office, that is an experience just to see his library, that he has a desk somewhere in there among piles of books. He may have someone that helps him provide a parenthetical reference, or he may be spending a lot of time typing these in himself because many of his papers have lots of references. Okay, let's continue then. We've added our parenthetical reference, and now we're ready to type in more text. We'll put the period after the thou, and then continue this paragraph. Factors that can cause these disorders include prolonged typing or mouse usage and continual shifting between a mouse and keyboard. I disagree. The switching between mouse and keyboard, I think that's actually healthy. It's repetitive, doing the exact same thing all the time, that gives you carpal tunnel. So change of habits and movement is continual is good for you. Continue breaks, stretching the fingers. Now at this point, we've typed a lot. We have not yet saved our document. It is in memory, and it actually is saved in some temporary location. But we've done all this work. Let's do a Control S, or click on this little guy here. That is the Save My Document. Control S, and let's save this. I'm going to put it in my homework folder from before, and I'm going to give it the name. JSmart. That's my login name, JSmart, and I'll call it WD2 research paper. Before I hit save, make sure I know where I'm saving it. There is the folder that I'm saving it to. If you're saving in your documents folder, that's just fine. You don't have to know the entire path. As long as you can find it, you can save it to your OneDrive if you like. I avoid the OneDrive because I regularly see problems with that. I'm saving it to this drive, this location there. Give it the right name, and then I click Save. And I can continue working on it, and now whenever I do a save, it doesn't ask me where to put it. It automatically will save it in that location. Remember, if you ever give it the wrong name, you can do File Save As, and it'll give you a new place to save it and a new name to give it. If you give it the same name, it'll say, wait a minute, didn't you just save it to that place? It'll ask you if you want to replace it. So Control S, and since I already have saved, I'm going to cancel that by clicking back arrow. Control S now anytime you've done work. And remember, Microsoft Word automatically is making a backup copy, but don't trust the backup copy. It may be destroyed by accident. So always do a Control S save. We're almost done. We're going to be doing some more references as after this. So go ahead and save that. The next thing we're going to do is a footnote, but I want to give you time to make sure it's saved in any location, and then you can